Hi traders, this is David from Wave Trader. So now I want to give you a speed analysis of the various currency pairs that I believe have possible trade setups in this new week that we are entering. Today being the 26th of October 2019. So I'm expecting by Monday when the markets open, you can have a look at these pairs and decide which ones are good for you to trade. So first of all, we're going to look at the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar pair. I'm on the monthly chart, and mind you, I'm going to speed run through this. So you are going to have to analyze these pairs yourself and decide for yourself the ones that you think are good for you. So right now on the monthly chart, you can see here that the market has been in a strong uptrend for 2 months straight, and in the third month we have what looks like a hammer bar. So let's go down to the weekly and see what we see. And here you can see that the market seems to be going down, but at the same time it's rebounding a little bit. MACD is still trending upward. There's a possibility of this market already beginning the upward move back, but at the same time I've already drawn the 55% retracement level, and just like what happened here, it's possible that the market can keep going down but in a series of zigzags. And let's go down to the daily chart and see. So on the daily chart, you can see that the zigzag seems to be happening. And right now, what we have is just a temporary push up in price. So if the level here is broken, then we know that the market can possibly begin to push strongly to the upside. Excuse me. Going to the 4-hour chart, what we see here is a series of up and down movements that has created a sort of diagonal channel. And what I did was, by plotting the APAC here on this wave bottom situation here, we have price targets bringing us to the top of this channel. Okay, so what I believe is, if the market is going to turn around, then it will turn around somewhere between the 5th and 6th target, possibly at the 6th target. And so what we're looking for there is a wave top situation. Okay, so we need a convincing MACD death cross. Okay, and we need the EMA cross as well, meaning that we need a red arrow here for us to take a trade to the downside. And if that were to happen, say from the 6th target all the way to where this where the price is at this level here, this is going to give us something in the region of about 124 pips. So it's a good trade to watch out for. But in the meantime, there's nothing to be done here. This upward move is already in motion. We have the first, second, and then the third wave. So whatever is going to happen here, you have to wait for it to exhaust itself. Okay, and then you can decide for yourself what's going to happen next. So the next currency pair we're going to have a look at is the Australian US dollar. Okay, so from the monthly chart, what we have here is, for 2 months now, we have a bounce up in price to the upside. Going to the weekly chart, you can see what looks like actually there's a wave bottom here, but this area is actually a positive divergence situation of MACD to price. So right now what is going on here is we have what looks like an inverted hammer on the weekly chart. So let's go down to the daily, and you can see that this temporary dip has already gained strength. So what I did was, I took the retracement of this zone to this point, the retracement, the Fibonacci retracements, and this is the 55% region where I put as a possible buy, meaning that if you can place a buy limit here and wait, the possibility of you getting filled in and going up in your favor is high. So going to the 4-hour chart, you can see that from where the market is currently to the 55% retracement is just 28 pips. So there's no need to look for a sell trade right now. Okay, what we're looking for now is a convincing wave bottom situation, and also for the MACD to give us a golden cross, and also for us to have an EMA crossover green arrow. So when that occurs, then we know that we can take this trade to the upside. And if you want to plot your profit targets for that move, I recommend going to the daily chart and plotting from either the first one or the second wave bottom situation. So doing that, a moment, let's clear some of these things out. Okay, so doing that will give us price targets. Using the second wave bottom gives us price targets to this region. So in this case, I will possibly go for the second. Okay, so from the second to to that region is roughly about 100 pips. Okay, so I've deleted the line, but I think I can still bring it out quickly so that you guys know what I'm talking about. Let's use this area. Okay, all right, so it's out, it's back again. So from here, now going to the daily chart. So from that point to the second price target is 103 pips. So including the spread. So that means that you stand to gain at least roughly 98, between 98 to 100 pips here. So this is a good trade, and I'll be keeping my eye on this one. So the next one is the Euro card pair. Now the Euro card, going to the monthly chart, we have a strong downtrend going on here. Okay, and we have this wave top situation, but what I'm seeing here is that the trend has been resisted strongly by this trend line here. So there's a possibility that the market can easily turn around here, but we are not sure yet. Okay, though I can see an inverted hammer on the monthly chart. So let's go down to the weekly, and on the weekly, what I'm seeing right now is just red, red, red. But you know, you never know. So this new week will tell us what's going to happen. So right now on the daily chart, we had back-to-back series of positive divergence here. The first one, the second. So what will happen here will determine what's going to happen. If the market doesn't get to the previous low, okay, and turns around, then you will have your wave bottom situation with this as the first point, second, and then the third here. But if this blows past this low, then we do not have a wave bottom situation, and we have to assume that the trend is still downward bound. So in my own case, what I did for now is I'm watching this chart on the 4-hour. Okay, so with the proviso that if the market gets to this previous low here, okay, I'll just draw the line there, and gives me a convincing situation like this. So if I get a wave bottom situation here, and I get a golden cross on the MACD, and I also get my EMA green arrow, then I know that I still have potential to make a buy trade here. And from that zone to where there's congestion here is roughly about 238, 240 pips. So this is a good trade to watch out for. You may not necessarily get it there on Monday, but between Monday and Wednesday, you should be able to see something convincing. Okay, so just keep a loose eye on this, and we'll see what we see. Now, the next currency pair we're looking at is the Jpy currency pair. Okay, so going to the monthly chart, um, well, I don't want to delete this thing so that, because I already made my analysis, but you can see here that we have a bounce up in price. For the past 2 months, the market has been bullish. So based on that, let's go to the weekly chart and see. On the weekly chart, we have our wave bottom situation here. But right now, we have a red bullish candle. Okay, so that means that there's a retracement going on. So let's go to the daily chart. So on the daily chart, it's already underway. Okay, and I've already plotted my 55% retracement of this move. Now the possibility that it could turn around at the 23 or 32 38% retracement is there, but at the same time I always like to look at the 55% retracement as the area. Most of the time the market respects that zone, because you can see it here. If we were to plot the Fibonacci here, you see that this was roughly the 62% area of this move. So that makes sense that it might want to do the same thing here as well. Okay, so going to the 4-hour chart, what we see here is a wave top situation. Okay, but I don't think that this is going to consummate to 5 bearish Elliott waves. I believe that if it does get down, then it will turn around in this region, and you can see I've already done my analysis of what can happen. So I'm going to keep my eye on this pair as well. Okay, my bias is to buy. So but from here to that point is it's a good size trade as well. This is about 150 pips or so. So I'm watching it. So what I'm believing and hoping for is for a bounce. If I can get a bounce, okay, if I can get a bounce, maybe 55 retracement of this move or even this move. I placed my sell limit here. Okay, in theory, So if I can get a bounce, then I'll wait for the market to turn around and I can place a sell trade, okay, with the fourth target as my area to take my profit, which is good. And then I can wait for a wave bottom situation to take the upside trade as well. So that's the Euro JPY. Now the Euro New Zealand, let's have a look at it from the monthly perspective. So we have what looks like a wave bottom situation going on here, okay, and on the weekly chart we have a lot of congestion in this area, okay. So let's go to the daily chart and see. So on the daily chart you can see a little bit of definition going on here. We had this previous downtrend and now we have the market pushing up. So worst case scenario, the market pushes up to the 55% retracement of this move, okay, and I've already drawn my line there. So going to the 4-hour chart, you can see that we already have a wave bottom situation which was presaged by this positive divergence of MACD to price, okay. So that pushed the market up here. It retraced, giving us the third level for the 1, 2, 3 or the wave bottom. So we have the first wave here, second, and then now we are in the third, okay, possibly. All right. So but another scenario that will occur here is, I see I've already drawn a trend line here. So if the market doesn't get to this level and decides to turn around, then that means that your bias is to sell. But for now, what I believe is I took a retracement of this zone from here to here, and the 55% retracement, as you can see, is in this region. So if it can get down here and then begin to bounce back up, that is better for the buy trade. But if not, if it keeps pushing up like this, I won't even bother, because this is just well, it's still a good size trade, 91 pips, okay. But sometimes getting in is the issue here. So the only way you can get in here now is if the market retraces down to this area of the trend line and begins to bounce back up. Okay, if that happens as well, even if it doesn't get here, if it bounces back up, you can get in so that your stop will be minimal, and then you can take profit targets. Anything between the second and third target is good, okay. So that's the Euro New Zealand currency pair. Now let's go to the euro. So the euro, so pardon me, I can't delete these things because it's such it's stress to put them back. But right now you can see that after this downward move for the past 3 months, the fourth month now, we are seeing a strong push up in price, giving us a bullish situation. So if we go to the weekly chart, you can see that for the past well, for 3 weeks straight, the market was bullish. We had a positive divergence situation going on here of MACD to price, okay, and now we have this retracement. So let's go to the daily chart so we can see it properly. So by taking the retracement, the Fibonacci retracement of this third wave, okay, because this is the first, second, and this is the third wave. So taking the Fibonacci retracement of this third wave gives us this area as the 55% retracement. So let's go to the 4-hour chart and see. So from the 4-hour chart, from that zone to where the market is currently is about well, between 7 to 80 pips. That is still good for a day trade. So we'll see what happens on Monday. So let's go to the 1-hour chart. So on Monday, I've put my sell limit area here, which is I believe the 50%, not the 55 of this move. So this is to ensure that if it does get in there, I will be filled in, because sometimes the market will almost get to the 55 or 62 and then drop, especially if the trend is strong. So I don't want to take any chances. I know that we have a downtrend going on here, at least in the short term, to get to this zone before the market resumes the upward move. So if it does get to that zone, then I'll place a sell limit here, get filled in, and let's see, about 70 pips or between 65 to 70 pips is not bad for this trade, for a day trade. So we're looking at what will happen on Monday for that. Let's go to the Gbp Aud currency pair. Now this currency pair, anytime you see something that looks like this, it's usually a fourth wave. On the monthly chart, we can see the first, second, third wave. So this is a prolonged fourth wave, okay. And for those of you who are familiar with the Elliott wave theory, you know that the law of alternation actually demands this, that if the second wave is steep, then the fourth wave will be um, a series of zigzags like this. And if the second wave is zigzag, then the fourth wave will be steep. So I believe that that's what's going on here. And if we were to draw sort of channel here, you can see that the market has been respecting the channel. Okay, so let's go to the weekly chart and see what we see. And if that is so, then this upward move might be done, or there might be a little bit more momentum before it finally reverses. So either way, going to the daily chart, you can see a congestion that is going on here, and like I said, you guys will still have to analyze this for yourself so that you will not get confused. We have what looks like a symmetrical triangle in an uptrend here, but I'm not going to see that right now because we're not talking about patterns in that regard, candle patterns. So I've drawn my 55% retracement of this move, and even though it's not going down very steeply, I believe that it's going to undulate and keep doing this until it gets to this zone. But either way, no problem. Let's go to the 4-hour chart. So I'm in the 1-hour chart. So on the 1-hour chart, what I did here was, now this channel here from the top to the bottom gives us a good size number of pips, about 165 pips. Okay, so I'll have to go lower to the 15 or 30 minutes for you to see this properly. So you can see on the 15-minute chart, we have what looks like a wave bottom situation that's already in play. And if we look at what's been going on previously, the market has been going up and down quite how will I say this, regularly, I believe. So if that's the case, okay, and if this move shows potential that is going to push up when the markets open, then you can actually take a buy trade here and make some profits, at least out of the 160. If you can nab 40 to 50 pips, that's okay. And if it gets to this region and begins to reverse, then you can go for a possible sell. But you have to be careful because we're in an area of congestion. So if you are not sure of yourself, this is a channel, okay, so you'll be wise to stay out of it. But if we do get something convincing, like a break of this channel to the upside or a break of the channel down, then you can consider your option. So it's worth looking at. Okay, now let's go down, let's go to the next one, which is the GBP card, right? And going back to the GBP AUD, the GBP AUD, the GBP card, the GBP Jpy, the GBP CHF, the GBP USD, they tend to move in tandem. So if these ones are all going in a direction, then you shouldn't be too afraid of the GBP AUD pair going against them, even though it's not as pronounced as the rest. If they are going down, then this baby is going down as well. Okay, so that's something for you to note. All right, so let's go to the GBP card. Now let's go to the monthly chart, and on the monthly chart for the past 3 months, you can see that this upward bounce has is in full swing. Okay, and that's why I believe that the others are all doing the same thing as well. Okay, so we are in what looks like a fourth wave as well on the monthly chart, but right now we are in a bounce, so that means that for now the trend is bullish. So going to the weekly chart, you can see that we've already had a series of wave bottom situations here. Wave 1, 2, this is too short to be 3, so I believe that this is an extended third wave. We're still in that, but right now we are retracing this upward move. Okay, and because of the steepness and the sharpness of this retracement, I believe it's definitely going to get to the 55% or 62% retracement of the initial upward move. So taking the retracement from here actually to this place gives us this area as the 55, I believe. Yes, this area as the 55. And you can see that this downward move is already in progress. So we have to go to the 4-hour chart. And on the 4-hour chart, you can see we already have our wave top situation here, which has pushed the markets to this zone. Okay, so now even though this is a counter trend, from here, counter trade, from here to this place is about 160 pips. So this is still worth taking. So what you want to do is you go to the 1-hour chart and you take a retracement of this move from here to the bottom here. and you can see that I've placed my sell limit at the 55% region. So what I'm waiting for is for the market to push back up at least to this zone. So possibly by Monday or Tuesday, if that happens, then you have a possible sell situation going on there. So that's what's going to happen. And if you can't catch that, no problem. All you have to do is wait patiently for the market to get to this zone. Then we wait for a wave bottom situation, wait for the MACD to give us a golden cross, wait for the EMA notification as well, and then we can take this trade to the upside, which should be good for a chunk of pips. So that's the GBP card. Now let's go to the next one, which is the CHF Jpy currency pair. Going to the monthly chart, what do we see? For the past 2 months, the market is in a bounce. Okay, it's not a pronounced bounce, but at least it's bouncing to the upside. So going to the weekly chart, we have what looks like positive divergence back to back. Okay, first one here, second one here, and I know that there's a wave bottom situation here. The MACD is crossed and trending up, but we're at it. What is going on here is a retracement. So let's go to the daily chart and see, and you can see that it's well underway. And I've already plotted the 55% retracement of this move here. Okay, so going to the weekly chart, what we're waiting for now is for the market to get down to this zone so we can get a good wave bottom situation. This is a swing trade anyway, so it's going to take a while. But in the meantime, if we were to take the number of pips from here to where the market is now, that is over 100 pips, so we can still look for a sell situation here. So going to the 1 hour chart, all we have to do now is wait and hope for this to retrace. Okay, and I have to go lower so that you can see it. So if this is going to retrace, then what you need to do is, because it's already beginning to show signs just like it did here, so we take a retracement of this move, and you can see that I've placed it just slightly above the 55, so just before the 62% area. So you are going to have to keep your eye on this, because it may not have enough strength to get to the 55%. It could just turn around before that time. So when the market begins to give us a push up, we'll look for a way to draw a trend line and wait for that trend line to be broken. Okay, so you are going to have to keep your eye on this, but this is a good trade, a possible trade to the downside for you to consider. Okay, so let's go to the next one, which is the British pound, Swedish francs, the GBP CHF currency pair. Now going to the monthly chart, what do we see? Okay, on the monthly chart you can see that this massive push up was presaged by this hammer here. Okay, so we have the retracement of this bearish move down. In fact, the retracement has gotten to, I believe it has gotten to the 55 or 62% retracement of this move. So let's go to the weekly chart and see. So here we have our wave bottom situation pushing the market up to this zone. Okay, like this is giving us a golden cross and still trending strongly, so there might be a little bit of push to the upside. Okay, now the previous move gave us a wave top situation here, pushing the market to this zone. So if this is a wave top here, then we are looking at this area as a possible area of resistance for this push up. Okay, which is still a hefty sum, about 194 pips. So going to the daily chart, what we see here, we can see congestion going on here. Okay, so there are two possible scenarios here. Of course, if the market breaks this congested area and pushes up, then we know that we can sell with confidence, buy with confidence, I mean. But if it's not able to break it, then we have to look at this area as an area of possible sell to this zone, which is the 55% retracement of this upward moving price. So going to the 4-hour chart, you can see what's going on. And like I said, because this the British pound pairs tend to move in tandem, if the other ones are already moving down, then the possibility of this one moving down is very strong as well. So I would rather prefer to wait and see what happens with this pair. Okay, you don't have to trade it, but you can keep your eye on it so that you will learn how these markets work. Let's go to the 1-hour chart and see what we see. So on the 1-hour chart, there's a lot of congestion going on here, but you can see that the the resisting trend line, okay, it's very much in effect. So what we're hoping for is if the move can push up to this zone and turn around and give us a wave top situation with a convincing MACD cross and a green EMA notification arrow like this one, I mean a red one, sorry. If we have a red one, then we can possibly sell. But because it's looking iffy, you can actually just take a pass on this one and just keep your eye on it. And if it gives you a convincing move below this trend line, then you can sell with confidence. Okay, so let's go to the next currency pair, which is the New Zealand CHF pair. I'm on the 1 hour chart, so we have to go to the monthly chart. On the monthly chart, you can see that for the past 2 months, the market has been trying to push strongly up. Okay, even though the MACD is trending strongly down, but you can see here that it's been doing a series of hops. So I believe that just like this one pushed up, I believe that that's what's going to happen here as well. So we'll go to the weekly chart, and you can see here that what looks like a wave bottom situation is going on, but there's a lot of congestion here. But the MACD has crossed, and we have this hammer here, so we'll have to go down and see better. So even though the upward move is not as strong as I would have loved, but at least it's pushing up. But what we have going on here is a retracement brought on by this area of resistance. Okay, but MACD is trending up even though it's kind of weak. So let's go to the 4-hour chart and see. So on the 4-hour chart, the downward move has already begun, and I've taken a retracement of this move up in price, which is so this area is a 55%. So the only way to get into this trade now is don't even worry about a sell trade, because the pip count is very minimal. It's just what 21, 20 pips. It's not worth the effort. So what you can do is wait for a wave bottom situation somewhere in this region. You wait for the MACD to give you a convincing cross, and you wait for our green EMA notification arrow, or if you've plotted the EMA 21 and 5, you will get a cross. So when you get a cross of the MACD and you get a cross of the two EMAs, which is the same as this, and then you have your wave bottom situation, you can take a trade to the upside on this currency pair. Okay, so let me just go down to the 1 hour and let's see what we see. So the best way to wait for this trade is on the 1 hour, so that when it gives you the wave bottom, you can see it very easily, and then you can enter with minimal stop loss in place. Okay, so let's go to the Gbp Jpy as the next currency pair. I have to go to the monthly chart, and you can see on the monthly chart the Gbp Jpy has pushed up strongly from the bounce, okay, after the previous downward move here. So bouncing strongly up, giving us for the past 2 months these two bullish candles. So let's go to the weekly chart, and you can see that this is almost like the Gbp CHF as well. It has already done the wave bottom situation, giving us 1, 2, 3, 4, in fact 5 waves. Okay, so now we are seeing a red spinning top here on the weekly chart, so we have to give pause to the upward move. Okay, going to the daily chart, you can see that a possible retracement to the downside is already in motion, and I've drawn the 55% retracement of this move here. Okay, so what we're looking for now, and because it's quite hefty, I believe it's still over 400 pips. So this is a good, in fact, this is a good downward trade to take if you can get it. So how are you going to get into this trade? Well, you have to go down lower to see what you see. So now this is the 1 hour chart, and if you still don't know what you're supposed to do here, this trend line can be of tremendous help in this particular instance. Okay, you don't have to go for a sell limit. You can if you get the opportunity, but I believe that waiting for this trend line to break will be the best option in this particular situation. But let's go lower and see. So this is the 30-minute chart. So if you want to get this trade on the 30-minute or maybe 15, you have to take a retracement of this area from this top to this level here. Okay, so our 55 retracement zone is here, but I'm looking more at this trend line. So I would rather prefer for the market to hit this trend line and give me a turn. So I may not necessarily be looking for a wave top situation. Once it hits the trend line and begins to reverse, I'm going to place a sell with my stop above the trend line. Okay, you can see that all these instances here, if you are taking a sell at the trend line with your stop just above, you won't have been stopped out. So this will give you a very safe stop to use. So I'll be watching this one. Even if it doesn't get there and it turns around, you can still get in. So this is a very good trade to wait for, and it's worth it because 400 pips is a lot. It's a lot. Okay, even if you don't get to the sixth or the fifth target, say you decided to go for maybe even the second target. The second target from the top of the trend line is still roughly 300 pips. Okay, and even from the break of the trend line is 171 pips, and that's just the second target. So, and I believe that if this breaks this trend line, then it has the potential to get to at least the fourth target. So from the trend line to the fourth target, that is still over 300 pips. So this is a very good trade which you will do well to consider. Okay, so let's go to the next, which is the Gbp Nzd Currency Pair, and this is the 4-hour chart. So we have to go to the monthly. So you can see that it's been gyrating like the other one, and I believe that this is a fourth wave. Okay, and because it's close to this top here, I believe that this upward move doesn't have too much well, it can still go up. There's nothing stopping it because for the past 3 months it's been trending strongly to the upside. So let's go to the weekly and see what we see. But on the weekly chart, you can see that we have a spinning top occurring here. Okay, so there's a possibility that this upward move is exhausted. So going down to the daily chart, you can see what's going on here. So this might just be a temporary push up, just like what occurred here. And there's also the possibility that it might push up as high as almost the initial high point here. So this bears watching. Okay, since all the other British pairs are trending down for now, I will be careful about this. Okay, because this push up might be a short-lived move and it could just turn sharply. So I've drawn this trend line. Okay, and even though there's a possibility of the move pushing strongly by Monday when the markets open, but I don't have to trade it because I'll prefer for something to give me a convincing move. However, this looks like a wave bottom situation going on here. Okay, so if you think that you can catch this going to the upside, well, it should be good for some pips. But I'm just going to keep my eye on this particular currency pair and see what happens. Okay, so I would rather it push down like the others and get to the 55% region, then I can have the confidence I am looking for, and the setup I'm looking for to take it to the upside, right? So let's go to the next currency pair, which is the AUD JPY. Let's go to the monthly, and on the monthly you can see here that for the past 2 months the market has been bouncing upward. Okay, so we'll go to the weekly chart and see what we see. On the weekly chart, we have the wave bottom situation going on here, but you can also see this inverted hammer slash spinning top going on here as well. So let's go to the daily chart. On the daily chart, you can see that this retracement is well underway, and I've taken the liberty of drawing the 55% retracement of this last bullish move up in price. We have this wave bottom situation here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it makes sense that the market will take a breather, just like it did here. So it's possible that it might turn around at the 38% region, but I'd like to believe that it has the potential to get to the 55%. So let's go to the 4-hour chart, and on the 4-hour chart, you can see that it's already created a wave top situation here. And right now, what is going on is just a temporary push up in price. So let's go to the 1-hour chart. So what I'm waiting for is for a convincing break of this trend line here. So once this trend line is broken, then I know I can take a trade with confidence to the downside. And the potential for this trade to the 55% retracement region is roughly over 100 pips. So it's still a good trade to consider. And for me to get into this trade, I will be very happy if I can get this trade from this zone by taking the 55% retracement of this push down, this small push down in price. If I can get in here somewhere in this region, then my stop will be, well, just 10 pips. Okay, So this is the kind of trade I am looking for, because with a trade like this, I can easily even risk 5 lots or more, knowing that the stop loss number of pips is not that much and the potential to make more profits is huge. So this one, if I can get it here, I'll be happy. But if not, I'll have to wait for this trend line to be broken, okay, on the 15-minute chart. So that's the AUD JPY currency pair. Next up is the GBP USD currency pair. So let's go to the monthly chart, and you can see that it's already pushed strongly up on the rebound from this last previous downward move. So that's our concern, is just the most current candle right now, which is bullish. So let's go to the weekly chart, and you can see it's already pushed. Previously in a video I made, I remember saying that I believe that the GBP pair had potential to still give us a push to this region, and you can see that I was right. However, the market also proved me wrong by pushing way above what I was thinking, because I was expecting it to push to this zone and reverse, but you can see that it's already pushed well beyond the zone. But right now it's giving us a slight retracement, which I believe is something akin to this. So going to the daily chart, what we see here is a retracement underweight. Now these retracements, you have to be wary of them, because sometimes even though it's retracing down, it may not necessarily come down smoothly. It can rebound sharply and then do that. So when you are eyeing these retracements to take trades, you have to be careful as well. Okay, they tend to move very sharply in any direction they choose. So let's go to the 4-hour chart so we can see better. So we have our wave top situation going on here. Okay, the problem with this retracement is that these sharp wicks, okay, can take you out. You can see them. They can just take you out even if you are right. So you have to be careful. So the best way to get into this particular trade, let me see, how many pips is this one? Well, it's 391 pips, so that is a lot of pips. So it's worth watching. So to get into this trade, you have to wait for this trend line to be broken, and I have to go lower for you to see it better. So maybe you have to wait for this trend line to be broken convincingly, then you can take a trade to the downside, or you can hope for a sell limit here by taking the retracement of this move from here to here, and that gives you actually this is a 62%, the 55 is here, but you can see that this the previous retracement was a bit steep, so there's a possibility of this move pushing well beyond the 62. So I believe that the 62 is a good area to place a sell limit in this instance, and if you get that, then your stop loss won't be much. Well, it's this is very high, 66 pips, that's a lot. So you are going to have to go lower. Okay, you are going to have to go lower. You are going to have to actually hope to get a smaller stop loss here on the 15-minute chart. Okay, so you be careful with this particular trade. Even though the potential is there, the potential to lose money is very high here as well. So you have to, in fact, the best way to trade this is to just wait patiently. If the move goes up, wait patiently for the move to turn around and give you a convincing wave top situation. That way, when you get in, you have the confidence that you can hang on for the ride. Okay, so that's the GBP USD. So let's go to the New Zealand card. So now the New Zealand card, by going to the monthly, you can see that well, the trend looks extremely bearish. Okay, but we have what looks like a spinning top. Okay, but based on what the other pairs are doing, you can see that we have an area of strong support and resistance here, and with the spinning top, there's a possibility that this move is going to push back up. So the only way we can be sure is when the markets open. So I might want to give this a day to see what's really going to happen. Okay, but still, let's analyze this right now. So you can see that on the weekly chart, the trend is still bearish. Okay, though the MACD is beginning to look pinched as if it wants to cross over. Okay, so let's go to the daily. So on the daily, we have this we had this positive divergence situation here, pushed the market up, and then it was resisted and it came down. The market tried again, it was pushed down strongly. So this area can be seen as an area of support. Okay, So this is the 4-hour chart. The best way to wait for this particular trade is to see what's going to happen at this region. If the market is resisted here and we have a convincing golden crossover of the MACD, then I know that the push up will still occur and I can take a trade to the upside, okay, with price targets in this region, which is still good for over 150 pips. I prefer to wait, and if that doesn't happen, then I have to wait for this trend line to be broken, and if that happens, then I'm looking at a possible sell trade. So that's just the take on the New Zealand card. There's no need for you to stress your brain about that one. So let's go to the New Zealand CHF currency pair. I'm going to the monthly chart now, and you can see here, and you can see because these ones are all bouncing, I believe that the New Zealand card will possibly bounce here as well. Okay, so anyway, this is a New Zealand CHF, and you can see here that we have this for the past 2 months now. We had the bounce. Okay, so let's go to the weekly, and on the weekly chart we had well, the MACD is crossed, okay, and the market is trying to push up, but there's a lot of resistance here. However, the most current candle on the weekly chart is a bullish candle, even though it looks like an inverted hammer. So let's go to the daily chart and see what we see. So on the daily chart, you can see here that the market has created what looks like a channel, but it's still trending up. So right now, the market is in a retracement for, well, for Friday and Thursday, there was a retracement, okay, and I've taken the liberty of drawing the 55% retracement of the move from here. So let's go to the 4-hour chart and see what we see. So you can see that the downward move is well underway here. So how many pips is this? 43 pips. It's not worth struggling over, okay. It's much better to wait for the main trend, which is the push up. So what I'm going to do is wait for this trend line to be broken, but I'll wait for the wave bottom situation, and I'll wait for the MACD to give me a convincing golden cross here. When I get the golden cross, and then I'm going to wait for a wave bottom situation and probably go low, as low as the 1 hour or maybe the 30 minutes, preferably the 1 hour here, and then I can get a buy. So this is what's watching when the markets open on Monday/Tuesday. Okay, so let's go to the next one, which is the New Zealand Japanese Yen. Now going to the monthly chart for the New Zealand Japanese Yen, you can see that for the past 2 months as well, we have our bounce. So we'll go to the weekly and see what we see. Here we have our wave bottom situation. Okay, MACD is crossed, though there's no EMA confirmation as yet. So that means that the market hasn't gained enough strength. But going to the daily chart, you can see that we have this retracement going on, same as the other New Zealand pairs. So I've drawn the 55% retracement of this move as well, and it looks like it could get there. So going to the 4-hour, you can see that this one is already well underway. Okay, but I believe that the pip count of this one is worth thinking about. It's about 83 pips, which is not bad. So if we take out the pip spread, we should still have roughly 75 to 7 pips, which is good for a day or swing trade. Okay, so by going to the 1 hour chart, what we are looking for now is a possible. This is beautiful in the fact that if you were to get a 55% retracement here, you will get in cleanly, and that's what I'm waiting for. So for this particular one, it will be worth it going to the 15 minute and waiting. So when the markets open on Monday, I'm hoping for a retracement, and if we were to take the Fibonacci retracement values of this area here, our 55% retracement is where I wrote this sell limit here. So this bears watching as well. So once you get the market to move into this area and begin to turn around again, you can get in safely with minimal stress. Okay, so this will be a good trade as well. So the next currency pair we are looking at is the New Zealand USD pair, and I've already analyzed it, but let's go to the monthly chart and see what we see. So on the monthly chart, you can see that the market is bouncing, okay, which was preceded by this inverted hammer here. So let's go to the weekly chart, and on the weekly chart, we had our positive divergence situation here, but this time around is the histogram, and the wave bottom situation here has already occurred. So, but right now what we have here is a bearish candle that looks like a hammer, an inverted hammer on the weekly. So going to the daily chart, you can see that the downward move has sharply begun. So this will definitely get to the 55%, possibly even lower. So you have to be careful about this one, because this is the area that the market has a lot of congestion, okay, and the 55% region is here. So in this particular instance, it's best to wait to see a convincing wave bottom situation and the MACD to give you a golden cross and for you to get your EMA notification, okay. And this is a beautiful trade as well. You don't have to stress yourself for this one. The pip count from here to the 55 is just at 5 pips. Even to this area of congestion is, well, it's 106 pip bobs, but in this particular instance, I'm very happy to wait. I don't have to struggle to get a trade here, because the thing about counter trend trades is that they tend to turn sharply when they want to reverse. So I'd rather wait for that sharp reversal, okay. But the main point is I'm looking at the 55% retracement, so my eye is there. So all I have to do is wait for a good wave bottom situation here, and I'll take this trade to the upside with confidence, okay, possibly buy multiple lots. So that's the New Zealand US dollar. So this one is definitely a must watch. The next one is the USD CAD. So going to the monthly chart on the USD CAD, you can see here we have our very defined wave bottom situation with the third wave, and now we are hovering around in the fourth wave. So going to the weekly chart, you can see this prolonged channel here, okay. And usually when there's a prolonged channel, it's called a bearish pennant for those of you trade pattern enthusiasts. Just like this, usually when it goes sharply up like this at an angle, it breaks to the downside. Now on the 4-hour on the weekly chart rather of the USD CAD, you can see that this trend line has been broken, okay, convincingly on the weekly. So going to the daily, you can see that what we are looking for now is an opportunity to take this trade to the downside. Now, however, this area might be an area of support, so we are going to have to be careful about that, okay. So what we'll do is we have what looks like the possibility of a positive divergence is occurring here, and I hope it happens, because if that happens, we can get a push up and wait for a wave top situation. So essentially on the USD CAD, we are waiting for a wave top situation to take us into this trade to the downside, okay. Going lower, you can see I drew a smaller trend line here. So what happens on Monday will determine how we are going to get into this trade, but there's no convincing setup as yet to tell me to take this trade, even though I know that the trend is down. I'm hoping for something like this, okay, a push up, a strong push up. So when that happens, then I can actually take this trade to the downside with confidence. So the next one we're looking at is the USD Chf. So I'll just go to the monthly. And on the monthly chart, we have what looks like congestion, so there's nothing much to really see here, okay. And on the weekly chart, you can see what happened here. The market pushed down strongly and then pushed up midway, okay, almost I believe to the let's see, okay, you can see it pushed to the 62% area of this move, okay. So the overall trend for the USD, for the US dollar, actually is down for now, okay. So all these are just minor pushes to the upside. So anyway, let's go to the daily and see. And on the daily, you can see this magnificent push here for the past last week, the whole of last week the trend was up, okay, and I benefited a lot from this trade as well, because I saw it early. I saw it just on the second daily candle, so I was able to get some reasonable number of pips. I didn't follow through to the end. I think I made about 50 pips and I exited the trade, okay. But you can see here a wave top situation, Okay, unfortunately this move has negated this wave top. So now what we're looking for is another wave top situation, with this being the first, this point as the second. So the third level will be anywhere between the 62 and the 79% area. So let's go to the 4-hour chart and see. So on the 4-hour chart, I've taken the liberty of drawing this so that we can see where the retracement might take us. And you can see that it's just past the 62%. So what we're looking for now is a possible sell situation between the 62 and the 79%. In other words, we're waiting for a wave top situation. Okay, and a convincing break of this trend line won't be bad either. Okay, so that means we need a break of this trend line, a wave top situation. We need our EMA notification arrow, and we also need the MACD to cross and give us a dead cross. That will be a good sign for us to sell with confidence on the USD CHF currency pair. Okay, so that's what we're looking at for this week going on. Now let's go to the USD Japanese Yen. So this one I haven't been able to make up my mind. Of course, I know that this is the fourth wave in this move because we have the first, second, third, and fourth. So this is undulating in the fourth on the monthly. Okay, but on the weekly, what's going on here is a series of zigzag movements. Okay, even though we have this wave bottom situation here, how far it's going to go, I'm not sure, because we're at an area of resistance here. So if you can break this area of resistance, then the next area to get to will be this trend line here. So for the USD Japanese Yen, it's in a watch phase for me. You can see the resistance area here, which the market has been respecting for a while, since May. Okay, the last week of May all the way till now, November. We're just getting into November. Okay, so you can see that this area is significant. Okay, so there's no point in making any rash decision right now, right? So what can happen here is if we get okay, for instance, if we get a break of this trend line, okay, we get a break of this trend line, and then there's a possibility of getting a sell situation there, because we are thinking of selling on the USD CHF as well. So this could be a possible sell situation as well. But this there's no setup here right now that I can convincingly put a finger on. So this is a watch phase for this currency pair. I will be keeping my eye on it, preferably on the daily chart. Okay, so if it breaks this level to the upside, then I can wait for retracement on any candle. Okay, a 55% entry will be better for that situation. So that's what I'm looking at on the USD card. So I mean the USD Japanese Yen. So there's no play here. So there's no point in really putting your eye on this. You can watch it on the daily to see what goes on. So this week will tell us where the market is geared to go, right? Okay, so we have just a couple more currency pairs to look at. So we have the USD Mexican, and you can see here that the USD Mexican started well on a bullish note since 2008. Okay, so I believe that we are in the fourth wave of that move. So but right now everything is pointing to, well, it is bearish, but we have a very strong area of support here. So what we can do is just to keep our eye on this level and wait for the market to tell us what it wants to do. So if the market is going to be supported in this region, then we are looking for a wave bottom situation, preferably on the daily chart. Okay, so when we get a wave bottom situation, we can watch it on the 4-hour though, but it's much easier to watch it on the daily and not give yourself too much stress. So when you see a convincing situation that tells you that the market is about to shift gears to the upside, you can go in, but there's no play here as well. So the USD Mexican is it's in a watch phase, just like the Japanese yen. Okay, so you can see what's going on here. So if we can get a situation like this where we get a positive divergence and then we get a wave bottom situation, then we can make a play, but that will take some time. So the entire week we are going into, we are just going to use it to watch this particular currency pair. All right, so let's go to the USD ZAR pair, the South African rand. And on the monthly chart, you can see we are still in the fourth wave from this convincing wave bottom situation. First, second, third wave here. Now we're in the fourth wave. Okay, so on the weekly, trend is bearish. Okay, On the daily, still bearish. So we're waiting for this level here to be broken. If it gets broken, then we know we have a play to the downside. But if not, then we're looking at a possible push to the upside. Going to the 4-hour chart. So basically, the USD Japanese Yen, the USD Mexican, and the USD ZAR pair, you just have to watch those ones. This area is the area to watch. Okay, and you can see here that we got a valid wave bottom situation, and it was a good situation to buy. So if we can get the same kind of situation here as well. So in this particular instance, I believe drawing a trend line here. Okay, I'm just going to use this one and this one as well. Okay, so if we can get a convincing break of this trend line, okay, and get a wave bottom situation here, we should be good to go to the upside on the USD ZAR. But you have to bear in mind that the spread on this is quite huge. Okay, so don't bother trading this if your account is small. Just but you can watch it to have an idea of what's going to happen, so that you can gain confidence in your trade setups. Okay, now let's go to gold. So you can see I've already analyzed gold, but let's look at it from the monthly perspective. Okay, so gold has been in a strong uptrend for a long time now, and what we're seeing here is a retracement on the monthly. Okay, so the way it's looking, I was thinking that it might be able to get to the 55% retracement of this move, but I don't think so. Gold is very strong bullish wise. So what is going on now is a sort of a fourth wave, and the best thing I can say about gold is wait for this congested situation to sort itself out. Okay, because I tried placing a couple of trades and I got stopped out twice, maybe 3 times in the past few weeks. So I left off trying, because we're in a fourth wave and you can see what's going on here. Sure, you could have gotten some moves here, but I haven't been really putting my eye on this particular commodity. So but we have a wave bottom situation here on the 4-hour chart, which is good for a possible short-term situation to buy. So by taking this retracement from the third wave here to here, our 62% region is in this zone. So going down to the 1-hour chart, if we can get the market down to this area and we can get a wave bottom situation with a convincing MACD golden cross, then I believe that we can make a short-term buy on gold. But I'm not really looking at it the way I'm looking at the majors, like the AUD, the GBP, the Euro, the NZD, USD. Those are the pairs to really look at this week, in my opinion. Okay, so let's go to the next one, which is silver. And silver basically mimics what gold does, or the other way around. So basically we're still saying the same thing here. So if we can get a move down to this 62% region here and get a wave bottom situation, in this instance you can see that the MACD is crossed and trending down. So now we're looking for a cross to the upside again. In other words, we're waiting for a golden cross. So if we can get a golden cross, then we can make a short-term buy trade on silver. All right. So that's my take on the different currency pairs. So if you were to ask my opinion that what currency pairs would you trade or should you trade, my advice would be something like the Gbp Jpy, Gbp CAD, New Zealand JPY, Eurjpy, Australian USD, New Zealand USD, Euro USD. Those are the pairs to watch. Okay, those are the pairs to watch, either to the upside or downside. Those ones have potential, and the pip count on them is that's the spread is minimal, 2 pips, 3 pips, possibly 5 or 6 pips for things like the Gbp Jpy. But those are the currency pairs you should really look at between Monday and Tuesday to give you possible situations to make profitable trades from. The rest, you can just keep your eye on them and wait for good setups. Most of the trade setups that will occur are swing trades, so you are going to have to be patient, but if you can be patient enough, then you will make good profits from them. So that's my take on the weekly analysis for these currency pairs, and expect more analysis on the setups as the week continues. So thank you, and profitable trading to everyone.